Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the New York Empoleon's week quarterfinals battle of the PAC. We are here this week taking on Jack, or Gray, coach of the Vancouver Titangs, and we are technically the upper seed, though I do not feel that way this week because when I say this week, I mean it was supposed to be last week, and we have had a lot of trouble, and it's almost exclusively my fault, so thank you to the administration and to Jack for being incredibly patient. I offered the forfeit like 7 times, but we're finally gonna get this battle in today, whatever happens. And so last week I was out of town all week, and then this weekend, or this early this week, I was moving, and I'm finally situated, at least enough to put up a stream. Yeah, so we're gonna get this started. If you want to check out the other side of the battle, and I do encourage you to do so because my side might be a little bit frantic, and I think Jackson's a phenomenal battler. Go check that out. Links in the description below, as are all the other coaches in the PAC this season. But we have earned our bye and earned our way to the quarterfinals with a 6-3 record. We lost a tiebreaker, actually, which I think is really interesting. We managed to be 6-3 plus 10, and so were the Chernobyl Dragalges, who we lost to. So they won the head-to-head and took the tiebreaker, unfortunately, which meant we were the 4 seed instead of the 3 seed. Either way, we got the bye. That's all I really wanted. My opponent's team is Thunderous Eye, Alolan Ninetales, Zarude, Garchomp, Tapu Lele, Quillfish, Heatran, Beware, Slowking, and Greedent. And I have not, admittedly, taken a lot of time with the prep for this week. Shoutouts to Yahoodles, who took a lot more of the prep time this week for what we were doing. But we're going to start off with the Rotom Heat, which is Defog, Overheat, Volt Switch, and Rest with heavy-duty boots. And it gets completely stuffed by Garchomp, but like what Rotom doesn't. And otherwise, I really like the dual stabs here, and Rest can help it be bulky enough to take things like Thunderous Eye multiple times. It's fairly specially defensive to be able to take on the Ninetales and Thunderous Eye throughout the match, which is something that I really value in this, as well as the Heatran. It resists all of their stabs. All of their dual stabs are exclusively entirely resisted, and they're all special. So Rotom is really going to be my special tank this week. Hopefully it's going to be able to take on the moves it needs to take on, and that's really going to be what we're going for here this week. Next up is my Breaker. It's Max Attack, Adamant, Mudsdale, and it's going to be Earthquake, Rock Slide, Close Combat, and Stealth Rock. My opponent's team hates Close Combat and Earthquake as a combination. The only mon that resists both of those things is Thunderous, and we are going to have Rock Slide for that, and Rocks up as well. Hopefully, there could be a lot of boots running around, but I'm not super... Like, the Stealth Rock is nice for Chip actually more on the neutral targets, like Heatran and Tapu Lele, and maybe the Zarude, as opposed to the Thunderous and Ninetales, which I don't expect to... You know, I expect them to be boots, or, I mean, Ninetales is so frail that you can kill it with an attack anyway, as long as it's super effective. And Thunderous is a problem, but I'm not expecting to be able to get the 25% off because I'm expecting it to be boots, so I'm just not even going to count the Stealth Rocks as being a part of the factor there. And hopefully this is going to be able to just break. It's got a Rindo Berry to be able to hit the Zarude with a close combat fairly safely, as well as to catch some surprise grass-type move, like a Heatran with like Solar Beam or something like that to try to catch it. I don't know. But that's what it's got for the item to hopefully give it an extra chance to break and maybe get an extra attack off. Next up is my Urshifu. This thing is Wicked Blow, Close Combat, Substitute, and Acrobatics, holding a Salac Berry to be fast. And yeah, Wicked Blow does a ton of damage to everything. Close Combat does damage to things that resist Wicked Blow, like Zarude, Ninetales, and Beware. And everything that's weak to flying is also weak to fighting, but to avoid risking a Chople Berry, Acrobatics was just thrown on as the last slot. There are obviously other moves that could have gone there. Bulk Up, Drain Punch were both mentioned, but Acrobatics was put on just in case there's a Chople Berry. And if you do go into something that's weak to fighting, I'm going to suspect it's there, and Acrobatics can give me an extra super effective hit that isn't fighting type on like Zarude and Beware, both of which are weak to fighting but are also weak to flying. Next up is Life Orb, Lycanroc. This thing is going to be Stone Edge, Drill Run, Play Rough, Accelrock. There's not much to talk about here. It's Max Attack, Max Speed, and Jolly Natured to outspeed the Ninetales. And Accelrock is super useful to clean things up. Play Rough is good coverage for things that can otherwise take a Rock-type move like Zarude and Garchomp. And otherwise, Rock is just a really good offensive typing here. Unfortunately, it does mean I'm going to be running Stone Edge to try to get that extra power boost, which means I'm probably going to be missing. But we're going to have to take, you know, the hits where they come and try to figure out a way to win this game, even if Stone Edge can't land. Next up is Tapu Fini. This is going to be my answer to Slowking mainly, and also maybe a sort of soft check to Heatran. It is more physically defensive than specially defensive as far as the EVs go, but obviously it's Tapu Fini. Whirlpool can lock the Slowking in on the switch. Taunt can prevent it from using Teleport, and then we can end Slack Off, and then eventually we can win with the 1v1 with Moonblast. and just get rid of the Slowking and not have to worry about it walling the rest of my team. That's also one of the few special attackers that can actually handle the Rotom fairly well. So hopefully we can be able to lock that down and get rid of it. It additionally gets rid of the terrain set up by the Tapu Lele, so that thing maybe doesn't do quite as much damage with its psychic moves, although it is still very, very scary. I'm not sure whether the Tapu Lele will be Scarfed or not in this particular matchup. Obviously to outspeed the Urshi, maybe, but at the same time, Scarf could be walled by Urshi if it does lock itself into Psychic instead of a Fairy move, and locking itself into a Fairy move reduces its power substantially. So hopefully we are going to be able to get a read on whether the Lele is Scarfed. I'm admittedly not thinking it will be, but given that it might not be Scarfed, we also can just replace the terrain and make sure the Psychic doesn't hurt as much against other threats. And lastly, we've got the Aegislash. This thing's going to be Autotomized Close Combat, Shadow's Claw, and King Shield with a Life Orb. Life Orb Close Combat can do, I forget what the calc was, but it does something. It's relevant damage, I swear, because personally, I think that Autotomize really shows you don't click a super effective move, and then Life Orb says, actually, you can click a super effective move. But having King Shield is also going to be really nice as a backup option, even if the Autotomize gets up, just to make sure that I'm not taking extra damage where I don't need to, especially since close combat special defense drops could be potentially relevant. We have enough speed to make sure we're outspeeding all non-Scarfers here, and then otherwise Shadow Claw is just pretty solid stab in conjunction with close combat to hit the Beware and the Zarude that can otherwise resist the Shadow Claw. And the Greedent as well. I don't think it's coming, but if it does, at least I have the close combat to hit it. That'll do it. Thank you all so much for watching this team builder portion of the video. Tomorrow will be the battle portion of the video. Hope you're all excited for it because it is as far as I made it in the previous PAC, and I would love to make it further this time. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, everybody.